All right, good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of BYTTT. Before you take the trade, we're going to go ahead and get right to it because we got quite a bit of stuff that I want to cover before the market opens and we get into potentially some trades. That's a possibility. As you know, today is Tuesday, so what do we do on Tuesdays? Tuesdays, we try to take some paper trades, get ourselves warmed up for the market throughout the week. Wednesday is where we actually take a light trade here and there, and then Thursday, we should be taking out our trade that we're looking to hold on to. So if you haven't been on my show or my trading floor before, we try to play it real simple. We don't make things too complicated. Actually, the traffic's getting a little noisy. Let me shut this down. There we go. We don't try to get too complicated. We just do very simple setups. The first thing that we like as a setup, we take our opening range breakouts. Those are really, really cool. And if we look over here on yesterday's opening range breakout, you can kind of see what the market did. Coming down to the 15-minute, you'll see that they had a nice little sweet time of playing both the upside and the downside. And depending if you play inside the ranges, you probably could have took the opportunity of where that they kind of liquidated here. But that choppiness after about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, that was not something easy to trade. That's why I tell y'all wait for the breakout. And you can see right here, nice little close. All right, around this area with the 5-minute was here, and another one was on the 5-minute a little after the market closed. So this is going to be a very interesting day because as we kind of came back from trying to recover from what happened with China releasing their new AI tool and the whole market is panicking like the sky is falling. It's a very interesting space to kind of see the market in because we are still in the remnants of some of that bull market momentum. So we're going to see what happens when it's all said and done. So that said, we're going to go ahead and get into some charts. The other setup that we look at is my market dominance. I like it on the 45-minute, and what market dominance kind of does, it tries to anticipate what the next candle is going to do. And in this case, we had a massive sell-off that happened here, and each time it was trying to give a signal, but the momentum was way too strong for it to do anything. So it usually give you your pauses or those long wicks. So here's a nice little green candle or anticipation for a green candle here. They reversed it, probably some profit taken, and then we continued down, probably liquidated and bear trapped some bulls inside of there. And then there's this one right here where they try to get it back up here. They couldn't. They tried again right here. They couldn't, and then they just liquidated one good time here. And then right here was the last straw, roughly around 6 o'clock. And then that's when we got the buy of the dip. Long wick kind of gives you a signal of reversal, gave a nice little push. Even though we had a nice little push with a push down here, anticipated red, just meant pull back. Speaking of hot potato, that's what it is, right? Look at it. It's basically they passed it off to the next person when they're taking their profits when it's all said and done. So yeah, I do agree that the market plays a lot of hot potato and messing with people. But like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and bull trap them or bear trap them, and they just be like, hey, this looks good. Here, you want it? I'm gonna lock in my profits here, and then they just leave them holding the bag. So this morning we had something that was very similar. I did play the upside of this, a little bit of it, but I it was just too much. I had to take care of the kids or whatever, so I didn't stay long enough. But you can kind of see we had a nice little massive push down, roughly around about 6:45 is when it started, and about 7:30 ish. We started to show a little bit of weakness in here, so you got a nice little pivot here. So we went from 261 up into about 320, so that's a good 60 points. So this was a nice solid move. So we're going to see what happens today, and we'll try to key off on any of the market dominance or whatever the case may be that pops up. Anyways, that said, let's go to the red list. Eli Lilly. Actually, Eli Lilly gave me a nice little surprise. I was looking at Eli Lilly. I meant to zoom that out, not squeeze that out. Oh, actually, where was I? Oh, I was in my dollar. I'm gonna fix that later. So I was looking for this thing to kind of fall off a cliff. We had some levels of support here, here, and there was this one right here. These areas were starting to give out, and the upside wasn't really as strong as it was here. So when I saw we gap down here, I was like, oh, it's just a matter of time before we actually give all this up. But wait, they were like, no, we're not going to break this down. So we kind of consolidated sideways until they broke the trend. So I think there's a little bit of an accumulation phase that's that's happening right here, and they're starting to really take out some of the bears here. So we got a nice little massive move that happened yesterday, including the one that happened on Friday, which I do have some question marks on because we are running up on earnings here. But do they have enough strength, and we're down to 804 today, to kind of continue and get up into this upper register? So it kind of tells me we're kind of in the range, and if they do get here, might fill this gap and get a nice little bump and run play all the way back up. Now, we don't have any divergences here, but we do have a couple things here that bring some interest here. So we got a nice little low right here. MACD followed suit, and then right here we had a nice little drop here, but we did not make that same lower low here. So that is our bullish hidden divergence, where it's trying to say, hey, guess what, we're accumulating here, and I think this whole entire area from this level here is your accumulation phase, where they're trying to like really balance from here. So I am very, very curious on what they're going to do between that 752 to 775. Are they going to go ahead and kind of pop it up, get up into this register, or are they going to go ahead and lower back into this level, accumulate some more buyers here, and that's the one that's going to bring you back into that bullish side on the daily? Now, that's why I'm kind of pausing and just watching, because this doesn't tell me that we're bullish. The weekly kind of does, because we curl up here, and it's going to take a lot of energy to try to turn this around, but I don't have enough time to earnings. So it'll be a little bit of an earnings crapshoot, so I'm going to be cautious with that. But Lilly does look really, really good for that upside, even though I was thinking this thing's going to fall out the bottom and we're going to make some lower lows. But we'll see what happens there. So that's Eli Lilly. Let's talk Waste Management. Waste Management looks like it's trying to recover. I had a feeling that it was going to do one of these silly pullbacks or whatever the case may be. We were in the bearish side here. We were a little high here, and I think it needed to cool down, especially coming up on earnings. But I think it can get through here, because I think Waste Management is trying to get into this upper register. Now, we are in a 2-candle uptrend right here. Yeah, giving up on the upside. This is where I was looking for it to get at 199.200 to fail, and we haven't done that. So right now, since that wick is a little bit higher, we're going to readjust this. That looks like our angle for here. So I'm looking for Waste Management to kind of come up into this upper register, maybe get into here at 218. That will be cool. If it can get to 221, that would be great. But if it gets around this here, all you have to do is throw some fibs on it. We got, kind of messed that up. Bear with me. Let me fix that. From this point here to that low here. And let me bring my main. If we look at this fib, if this thing gets anywhere around this wick, you're talking about a reversal area. Like this is, I kind of call this here, so you got yourself your golden zones, which is this area right here. But if we're getting inside of, get out the way. All right, if we're getting inside of the 618 and 786, I think it kind of emboldens a lot of the bulls to be like, oh, not only did we push out everybody that would add some more here, we're even pushing out those that's thinking, hey, it's cool, we're going to go ahead and squeeze them out too. And that could give enough momentum to make Waste Management get around that 225 and maybe even test that 230. So that's what I'm kind of curious about. Can they do that? A break above 215 would be solid. All right. At Pan W, if you don't know cybersecurity, this is one of the good ones in cybersecurity. They do follow a lot like Crowd, and Crowd did kind of push up well. Let me see where they're at now. Yeah, they're looking real solid, especially after their whole entire debacle. This is that drop off when they messed up badly and grounded the airlines, but it looks like they're holding real tough right here. So this is like the dip of a lifetime there. So let's go back to Pan W. I think they're the better competitor there. This one looks like there's some profit taking that probably happened, especially the fact that they split. Let's see. Kind of got like a 3-week candle rise here that looks good. And right now it looks like we probably could yeah, I think this is the area that they're looking for. 195. If PanW gets into 195 and breaks through, you're going to get some momentum going through and probably take out that 208. And if I'm not mistaken, that's all-time highs. Yeah, that's all-time highs. So keep an eye on how this earnings report comes through, how the market reacts. Do they start to pile in before earnings, or does it take earnings as a catalyst? But it does look good if we fill into that 199 200, get above there for psychological. We could retest it a couple times and then start to take out 210, and then we'll see where we go from there. Let's see. CMG. Let's talk about CMG. This is Chipotle. Yes, that is not a mistake. So Chipotle is at $58 a share. Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy, right? This once was a $2,000, $3,000 a share company, but back here they went ahead and did a 50-to-1 split. Very massive. But you could kind of see we got ourselves a continuation here where we're making a low right here and we kind of curl it right here, and this look like they're trying to take off here. So if this actually holds, what I think is going to do is hold 24 cents is what they're returning it to shareholders, which is a slight in line here. Plus we got 2.85 in revenue, which is slightly in line here, but they did miss it last time. I think if they show up well on the revenue, this thing might take off. Currently it's down to 57.90, so we'll see what happens with Chipotle. Maybe even get a play into that gap. That would be cool. But with that split happening and so much people got profits there might be some more profit taking coming. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence. This is still in the bearish side of the coin. All right, so don't just go racing into it, even though weekly could do a nice little solid curl here. Oh, let's talk about my baby SoFi. There goes my baby. All right, so this one right here, we got really close to $19. It did not hold the way I thought it was going to, so it's giving some opportunity. Yeah, Rod. You know, they called me Lil Usher back in the days. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they, you know what I'm saying? You know, before the before Boys to Men. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like around that time. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as Boys to Men retired, you know what I'm saying? They called me Lil Usher. You know what I'm saying? Lil Usher. Don't make your face like that. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So right now, I do think, actually, let me go ahead and get rid of this. I do think that we are sitting on a very strong block here. For them to really liquidate this, they would have to take out probably around 13.55. Earnings was solid. They found their shareholders an extra 25 cents per share. That is amazing for that. That's a 717% increase. And right now they're finding new money with an extra 64 million based on estimates. So all they have to do is just basically don't crash the Ferrari. I think they're in a good space. I think when we have this conversation 1 year out, we won't hear that SoFi is around $13 anymore. So they're gauging that they're going to be around 4 cents here. I don't think they raised guidance. I'm very curious on that. If they did, yeah, they slightly here for here. But I could imagine that they're going to go ahead and raise that revenue even further along the way. Because my theory is that extra EPS that they have here, they're going to use that to market. So we'll see what happens there. But you can kind of see nice solid curl up here. Nice trend, especially from that $6. We're right at this level at 13. That's your next pivot. So if we draw a trend line coming from anywhere down here, it doesn't even matter. We could, you know, do some bump and runs here. So we got one here, and then we got one right about here, right? This is the trend that we're looking for. And even if it breaks down, you got a safety net or like a catcher's mitt over here that if it comes into this angle, they might be able to jump right back up. Listen, 4 cents per, that is a safe number for a stock at its price. All right, remember, this is also a company that doesn't have a crazy amount of float. It's only 1 billion shares. For those that don't understand what shares float, let me just show y'all Coca-Cola. This is Coca-Cola, and their share float is 4 times that. So it takes a lot of purchasing to push that price around. So That said, SoFi, where it is. Oh, actually, I'll do one more just to kind of. Here's JP Morgan Chase, right? JPM, right? Their share float is two, so they're half that. So I think they got a split in their future. Yeah, I said it, Rod. Yeah, I said it. They got a split in the future. When the share's like $100-$200, then we're gonna have a conversation. All right. So this is going to be very interesting along the way. So just bear with it, because SoFi is one of those newer companies. As long as they don't do nothing crazy, or unlike what happened with Uber, some craziness with a CEO doing something that he ain't got no business doing. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. So we'll see what happens there. What is it? 904. Let's talk about some other tickers. Oh, you know what? NVIDIA. I was talking to a good friend of mine on NVIDIA, and it was like, "Hey Jeff, have you seen NVIDIA?" And I was like, let me go check it out." And I saw this, kind of give you a little sense of what I saw. I saw a NVIDIA that was kind of almost like we had a block here, kind of going like this. Hold on, get this up here, get there. Thank you. Right, had a nice little block here. And it's almost like the market was selling anything that was close to 150. So when he kind of told me it was like maybe that mid Wednesday or Thursday, I think he got in roughly around Monday or Tuesday. And he's like, "Yo, Jeff, man, I think the video is about to finally turn back around." And I was like, well, I don't like the MACD. I don't like anything here. It's too close to the zero line. I didn't like how the stochastic was already up here. And then as we were going up into this register, I was like, where's the price action as they're going through here? If it was going to hold, then the mouth should be open on this stochastic and continue up, which it was. It was this price action that happened on Friday that made me think, oh man, they got inside of here and they already started dumping. So I kind of sat back waiting for a pullback, and I was thinking about getting in here. But when they got inside of the gap, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Thank God I did not. That was a almost 30, about a $30 drop all the way back down to the downside for NVIDIA. So I'm not saying stay away from NVIDIA. I'm not saying, do anything crazy with NVIDIA if you already have shares with it. But this is one of the ones where, if you don't have proper planning, this thing could have really bite you in the butt. And this was more of a short-term move coming up into resistance. There was a strong sell-off on November 21st. There was a strong sell-off in January here. So I would love for me to be either inside of here playing that up, but I do not want to go ahead and buy high to sell higher. That's not trading. That's gambling. All right, we got us at 906. All right, so let me see if I can find another one. Let's go with some of my earnings list. Let me get my earnings run. I got to update the list because this was last week, and some of these earnings are already called. Let's go. Actually, let's go with Netflix. I like Netflix on what they're doing right now. It looks like they're trying their best to hold up at this level. You could kind of see after the earnings, people really cashed in their profits. They were not playing. Look at that. And it's funny to think. Who was it? Let's go back. How far back? I want to say it had to been. I want to say it was either 2020. It got to be 2023 because I don't think it was 2024. We was talking about Netflix being $500 too expensive. This thing since 2023 has doubled in price, and I think roughly around 2024 is when they went ad based. And this is the response to that ad base. So the money is coming in. They're returning money to shareholders. They have solid here. Solid. They're finding extra money. This is just looking really, really good. We got close to that 1,000 mark. And I think that was a psychological level where the market was like, okay, look, this thing's got to cool down. I don't want to be the one holding the bag. So they started shaving their profits here. That's why we get these massive moves. But I'm very curious about this level, 950. What do we do at 950? Me personally, I think I would love more of this to come back because, the writing's already on the wall, and I think there's some buyers that's going to be like, okay, this is just way too expensive. Or the writing's on the wall, and when they make the split, then the new buyers come into play because at $1,000 with NVIDIA and everything else being a lot cheaper and everything else, investors are probably going to go with the more cost-effective ones. because they can get more bang for the bucks on a multiplier. So we'll see what happens with Netflix in the future, but I do love the fact that they're holding right here. Let's go with Tesla. Let's take a peek at Tesla, then we'll go with something that we haven't really talked about. Tesla's looking very, very, very bull flaggy. This thing looks very interesting. So I know you're probably like, oh my God, my Tesla shares are looking really, really bad. You're probably in a position and you're struggling, or whatever the case may be, or you probably, you're a Tesla bull and you're like, holy crap, what am I going to do now? I think this is your downward trend line that you're dealing with, and any one of these areas can be pivot points. Tesla has a tendency on doing stuff like that, especially like this one here. This one was an order block. Let's go further back, like something like this here. Nice low pivot here, then explode. This one, nice low pivot here, explode. Yes, they did liquidate, and this was a little bit of a downtrend, but that's the thing with Tesla. Tesla has these moments where here's a bit of a downtrend. They tried to explode, but it looks like sell-off happened again, and we're back inside of this block. So I'm very curious on Tesla at this area here. Let's get there. Boom, boom. Let me extend that out. Right, I'm very curious on what they do here. We're kind of sitting right here. We're bullish here. And I'm not saying for you to get in trades. Again, earnings is tomorrow night. So this is not the conversation I'm having with y'all. I'm just saying, like, watching this chart and looking at what it's doing. It's very interesting here. I even got a little bit, I'm like, is this going to be a breakout? I'm more worried about it getting around here. Then I could play the new highs and see where it goes, more than trying to time the bottom. I don't try to time bottoms, especially not around earnings. All right. Let's talk about Royal Caribbean. If you don't know who Royal Caribbean is, they do a cruise line. I think they're part of the upper echelon, kind of like your Norwegian cruise line, which is NCL. Where are you? Norwegian cruise line. Is it NCLH? NCLH. There we go. Norwegian cruise line. They're kind of like in that upper echelon as far as style, but they are not your CCL, which is Carnival. But you kind of see that all the charts are pretty much doing the same thing. They are returning money into shareholders. They are operating well. This is probably starting to get into that season. Of course, winter sell-off. There's not a lot of stuff that's going on. So I think this is the bounce, and nobody's really talking about Royal Caribbean or any cruise lines before the summer. And I think they're going to have a really good summer this year. That's my thoughts in that regard. So we'll see what happens with the cruise line. Nice solid bounce here. They had earnings. Really nice. They only lost a smidge here, so they're in line, and we could go ahead and look at their forecast. They're forecasting to be at 4 billion here, which is higher than here, and they're forecasting to be 2.3 in earnings because of that going to be higher here. So could this be a nice little pivot? We're already gapped up here, which I am upset, but that's a whole nother conversation because I was looking at this yesterday. But yeah, Royal Caribbean does look good to continue to the upside. I do have an alert around here because I think that this thing is going to do like a W, and we could get ourselves a nice little breakout. So we'll see what happens with Royal Caribbean. 9:12. I'm gonna stop this out at 9:15. Then I'll probably go back into our setup. DR Horton. LRN, what do I want to look at? Oh, Alcoa. I haven't looked at Alcoa since. I think they had a split. Let's look at Alcoa. Was this one that split, or this wasn't that dropped? I'm trying to remember this one. Guess it just dropped. Something vicious. Okay. All right. So Alcoa, they are in the materials space. Oh yeah. Okay. There it goes. I forgot I have this here. Aluminum. So this one is a solid company. They do return money to shareholders, and they are solid right here. They do pay out a dividend, which is only 10 cents. Of course, dividends are not where you want to make money. It's the added bonus for holding on to shares. But this nice little pullback, I think they're trying to come back into this level around that $30. You could see here between the EPS, it's in line, and they're anticipating that it's going to get higher here. We'll see what happens there. This was more of a Biden era in materials space type of play, and you could kind of see with after the election here, it kind of dropped off and tried to fill its base. I think if Kamala was in place, then the Build Back Better will be in place. They probably would have rallied a little bit more, but they did not really perform after the election because a lot of the Build Back Better was kind of like priced in along the ways as the pandemic was kind of taking off. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting spot, generally speaking, to see where the market is going to do with Alcoa. But I think they're a good company. They're not going to go into the dirt per se, so we'll see what happens. All right, it is almost 9:15. We'll do one more. Let's go with something up here. CVX was good. Johnson & Johnson did something monstrous. Yeah, let's go Johnson & Johnson. So Johnson & Johnson had their earnings over here. They went ahead again. Good company. Actually, good in the case that it returns money to shareholders, not their ethics. That's a whole other conversation if you understand what's going on with baby powder. But that's already over. It's behind them. So, can't live in the past. So we'll see what happens. This is starting to open up here. Probably get a nice little bullish move to the 0 line and get through. I am curious on how today pans out because it's been bearish for quite a bit. Mid-October into here, even with the cycle of open enrollment, this thing didn't really take off. So very interested on how this pans out. Let's go ahead and look at the weekly. This is what the weekly looks like. It's trying to build that base, kind of bearish divergence-ish a little bit. It depends on where you pick your poison, right? Because we've got this point here and we drop to lower lows from this point here. And then this has not ever been lower for not 1, 2, and this is the third iteration of them trying to get and break down and really hold this. So I'm very curious. Are the sellers tired of selling? Maybe. Actually, looking at this chart kind of tight, it looks like we have this and that and that. And then we could get ourselves what looks like a potential pivot off of this 140, 150 psychological level. Actually, you know what? Instead of me doing a horizontal, let's do a block. Let's call it this. Something like that. Kind of have like this block right here that they could be maybe Johnson. Again, they're done with the lawsuits. They paid off everybody that they were supposed to pay off. There's a lot of good things that's going for them. I don't think they need any stock splits because Johnson & Johnson, their share flow is $2 billion maybe, but I don't think they need to really attract shareholders. If we break out of this channel and get into that 160, so let's call it 160 here, and that's about another $8 or so. You could get a nice little pivot here, and we probably are going to get a micro trend that looks something like this. That is going to turn into a major trend that attacks somewhere around here. So let's see what Johnson & Johnson looks like in the summer. All right. Okay, so like I said, if you haven't been on my floor before, we do things very simple. We only do opening range breakouts. It's one of the easiest trades. A lot of good traders do that. Let me put this line down as well because I don't want to have some sunlight kind of messing with my stuff here. We want to make sure that you are taking very, very sound trades and sound opportunities, and nothing is better than the opening range breakout to kind of keep you in line and control. The way we operated, let me come over to the dollar, put that back, and we are going to go over to NQ. What we want to see is that the 5-minute breaks above or below depending on our range. So yesterday's action, we had a couple instances of that. We had the 945 candle and we also had the 950 candle. So these two candles gave an opportunity to play to the upside, but the volatility was so crazy your stop loss had to been wide. I wouldn't have suggested because just in this instance, this was a 66 tick pullback to kind of get about 127. So for my options traders, to kind of put it in perspective, here is QQQ. We take the first 15 minutes of the market. Let me get rid of all these drawings. The first 15 minutes happened right here So we would have been bearish below this level, and we would have been bullish above this level, right? So now we come down to a 5-minute. All we need is a 5-minute to close above that level, and we had, like I said, that same 945, boom, 950, boom, and this one was about 54 cents of a movement. So if you ever traded Qs, that 54 cents movement is about half a deviation in the money. So depending on which contract you choose, you got closer to the money. Now, when they did liquidate around here, you could kind of see we was building a downtrend, and people were getting themselves out of there, right? Each time they try to get back up and maybe buy some dips, it was just not holding. So when it pivoted and closed right here, this was your second shot. Had a nice little pullback here. And this move by itself was about, let me grab this tool, from here to here. So that's about $2.55. So if you bought a contract that was 3 deviations out of the money, because I want to say everything is in dollars. I might be wrong, but bear with me on that. You would have been in the money by the time you got to about 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes. So this is what we look for. It did break down eventually. Again, not all of them stay out of the range and stay there. Sometimes they come back, reaccumulate, and take off again, kind of like what we did here. Sometimes it just falls right through as people take their profits, and the bears are like, all right, we let you have your fun. Now it's time for our fun. And that did not happen. The bears kind of did not have a lot of strength or control, and we kind of just leaked our way all the way back up to where we are with current price action. So right now, with NQ being back inside of the opening range, they're reloading inside of here. It's a very, very interesting spot. Very interesting spot. So this is what we look for. 5-minute break above this level would be great, but we're going to block out another opening range breakout to kind of get a sense of where the market is thinking. And again, you could pretty much do this on any ticker. I know some that makes good money on other tickers. I know some that only does it with futures. It's just literally just have some rules. If it follows the rules, then we play it out. Let's do this. I really want to look at CVX because of oil. Nope, forgot to put this on mute. I really want to look at this because the way oil is, and then also we got oil inventory that's going to be reported tomorrow. So I'm very curious on how this is going to pan out. So let's take this one and do an opening range breakout on this one from yesterday and get a sense of what that would look like. So here is your 930 candle. Will be bullish above this level, bang, and will be bearish below this level, bang. And then here is our levels, like this. So now, it didn't break through until the end of the day, right? And it barely actually made any movement. So all you could do, and then this is what I do most times, I just set levels and alerts so that way I can make sure, all right, I might not be able to watch it, but at least I could get a little alert to say, come see it. And you could kind of see it was a nice little consolidation here. I am curious on how we consolidated, because when I looked left, when I did this on one of my other charts, consolidated and it kind of looked like the other range, right? And then consolidated and it looks like we kind of did the same range. So I think this whole entire thing is like a big old order block range, and it smells like the report on tomorrow is going to make this bullish. So if there's anything you want to do and kind of check out CVX for some upside moves potentially. This is what the daily looks. We're on the bullish side. They're curling at the 50% of the stochastic. Might not be in for a long time, but you could be in for a good time if this crosses up, and then that could be the play. Maybe get up into that 161 again. Maybe come to that 165. So that's one I'm really eyeballing and looking for to see if this thing is going to turn back around. All right, we got ourselves 8 minutes. This is a perfect time if you got anything that you want me to look up on a chart, and something that you're probably looking at, or things that you're trading, or things you have questions on. This is probably a good time to do that. That said, I'm going to go ahead and look to see if there's any quick little scalps we can do in NQ and have some fun as we wait for the market to open. Yeah, that is it. So what I'm saying here that's bringing me to think like what is happening now is we stayed above yesterday's opening range, right? And it's like we can't hold that control, and it looks like we got this large sell side that just happened on this 15 minute. So we got a fair value gap. Nope, wrong one. Bearish fair value gap. Let's get that right. So with this bearish fair value gap, it's making me kind of like, they tried to take them out here, but they couldn't. And then guess what we did? Ain't another one of these bad boys. Bearish fair value gap. So now, why we keep putting these bearish fair value gaps? Are they trying to drill their way and try to drive the market down? That's a possibility. So I am curious when we get about into here, I might take a little tiny scalp, depending on how fast it gets up there, and try to short this here. Let me see what the 30 minute is. 30 minutes bullish, and the 45 minutes probably gonna be bullish. Ooh, now that's interesting. They could really like curl this MACD, because I don't know if y'all see that we got a little red here, right? So that could be the beginning. And when I mean little red, like you could kind of see when we get these little reds here, that kind of created that action here, and then we had that carryover for that gap. So that's what I'm curious on. Is that little red right there gonna hold this and pin kind of like something like this? That'll be interesting, especially going into the earnings cycle. But we'll see. All right. They're getting close to it. Let's see if it looks like it's a little overheated. I'm looking for scalp, so if you don't scalp, this is not the greatest place for you. The first thing, I've done it for so long, so this might be a little tricky for you to understand, but I'm probably gonna be in for like 30 seconds, maybe a full minute. But they are starting to really push through, yeah. And now they're calling for that fair value gap. If it gets above that, I might play up and see if I can fill that fair value gap with them. Almost there. We built up quite a momentum here. I would have wanted to cool down as we got into that. And then we're right at the psychological level of 300. So this could be a nice little sweep by the bears and bear trap everybody. So I'm not jumping in yet. I'm just making sure I have things that's on my side. So far, I don't see anything yet-ish. I'm really thinking rejection point. It gets back under 295. I might short. I know it's crazy, right? I just literally said, I'm going to take it up and fill the gap. Oh, wait, I'm now short again. Yep. That's how I feel. That's how I roll. We got ourselves 3 minutes or so before the market opens. I'm just in for a quick time to kind of get my paper trading practice in. Kind of warms up my eyes, warms up my mindset of what I tend to look for. All right, looks like they're still trying to break it, but they want that 300 to hold. Let's see if they can get back up there, because it looks like they're trying to hold it before that open. Can we get an explosion before that open? Looking for it to break out of 309. Oh, they said no, we ain't doing that. Oh yeah. Let's see what happens there. They're giving it all back. Let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes. Does it break 280? That's what I'm curious about. We got ourselves a minute and 43 seconds. And like I said, most of my thesis is to the downside only because of how I saw that 45 minute Um, I think they're trying to test some levels down there, but it is trying to really like hold here before we get into that open. All right, doesn't look too crazy on my side to go my way, so I am down like 15 bucks. Like I said, I'm super light. Again, I'm just warming myself up. 59 seconds left. And oh, show me a little green. Oh, I'm closing you. You better show the green. All right. Just trying. There's potential for some green. So it looks like. But I'm not going to hold this. We're going to get rid of this thing. Bye-bye. I can't. It's just literally zigzagging right here. Of course, I was looking for a strong rejection here. Maybe get down into here and then recapture this area. Open this back up and then play to the downside. But didn't give me that. All right, so how this operates, we got a hard stop at 945. My goal is to show you what the opening range levels are and kind of coach you on what to look for and expect. Now the opening range breakout, it could wait till like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock before it actually breaks out, kind of like what we saw with CVX. Or it could do something extremely monstrous and then out of nowhere it just takes off as soon as they finish the candle. So the goal is just to stay disciplined more than the fact that you want to make money. And if you hold on to that thesis, you should be fine inside of the market. So far, we got a nice little push to try to take out that fair value gap again. They're not getting it. They're just not. Look at that. Oh, could this be it? Could this be it? All right, I got an alert for Lockheed Martin breaking down. Could test. All right, let's go check out Lockheed Martin while this establishes itself. Lockheed Martin is in my earnings list. That's the only reason why I kind of looked at this one. And oh, it gapped it. So I was looking for it to cross 479, and it has, and then some. So this might be just straight gap momentum to try to play this down. So if we were to take this, and I'm gonna do this in probably paper trade because this is way too far. I would probably, I would love to, because my target was 4.7. My target was between 477 and 450, and now we're in a block. Very interesting. All right, we'll come back to it. Let's go back to NQ because this thing is. I probably have to do. Ooh, wait a minute. Is this thing? Oh, this thing is it's finally reject. Oh, they didn't even they took the fair value gap, then took that. That's what I was looking for before the open. If we was going to get one of these type of actions, look at that. That's a nice solid rejection of this area, showing that the bears still kind of have some momentum here. Do we have any imbalances down here? Not really. And I like to aim for those. Yeah, this is kind of balanced. They could be. They could be just pulling it back to bring in more buyers, so be careful. If we can get back above 260, we'll probably push right back up. I have a level that I saw from the opening of the market last night. Might take a lightweight trade above 260 if we can get that. All right, looks like we're getting that. Let's see if we can get that. So what's happening here, coming into this area here, for those that scalps and trades and crazy time frames like me, we're getting a little bit of this 250 psychological level type of bounce. So that's why I'm kind of looking at that 260 as an area to try to like really take off. We've tested some areas here, but this thing can just fall right through that 250. Anything under 241 can be a problem, but it just depends. Do the bulls have enough control? All these new bears that just came in, can they take them out? Yeah, they're grabbing liquidity. Probably get one more push. Try that 300 one last time. Almost there. See if we can get there. Yeah, like, nope. The bears took it over. Look at that. Violent rejection. Real violent rejection. All right, looks like Apple is doing a little bit of a breakout as well. We'll go check out Apple in that regard. That's probably what's driving that repurchasing here is probably Apple. Well, the bears kind of came in and just kind of jabbed in the throat. Let's go check out Apple. Nice push, Apple. Nice push. Now, if you haven't seen Apple's chart in a while, it's been getting its butt whipped. It has. And this thing is about to go right to my stop on that trade. That's why I don't like playing in ranges. But again, paper trade, get yourself, this is what I would normally look for if we was not inside of a range. So I'm just operating as such. But yeah, so Apple, nice little curl up on the MACD and the stochastic. Let me put the MACD up here. We could see if this thing can kind of like really take off and really push that stochastic up. But we'll see if that actually pans out. We'll see where it goes there. Oh, there it goes. That's NQ dropping some more. That's why I was like, I like the bearish side because of that range. But today's range is going to be totally different than yesterday's range. So let's go ahead and mark these levels out for the opening range. So if this candle was to complete right now, you're talking about we would be bearish here at this level here. Come here and get over here. All right, and then we would be bullish over at this level here. Actually, they just made another lower low. Let's get there. There we go. So they did break that 241. So I do think that there's going to be some more downside along the way. See if we can get any further down. Royal Caribbean just hit one of my alerts as well. I'm thinking that if this thing drops, we probably could get into that 181 area. That was the bottom of the range for yesterday. So that's a possibility. Let's see if we can get there. Looks like they try to, but there's some buying pressure that's trying to kind of hold that up in itself. But we'll see. We kind of got low here. Let's see if we can get lower. That's that 200 level psychological that they're trying to hold on to here. That's why the first 15 minutes is always critical in the market, because they kind of establish their levels and where they want to go and where they want to attack. But I think 181 would have been really, really, really great if we got down to that level, because that would give us a nice wide range and it allows for accumulation to happen. But looks like we've established. All right, so we got ourselves a little bit of a low right here. And kind of broke that 250. Still trying to find its footing. I thought it was gonna get a better bounce than that, but they were like, nah, we done here. Looks like we're not getting that better bounce. I think they really want that 181. Did we get a nice little curl up so that way we can get a push down to that 181? Or maybe did we establish our low for the day? Like I said, I like that 181 to be our low for the day to kind of see what yesterday has. I know the bulls don't want to see that because then it could go lower than that, and then that'll probably start a whole entire liquidation to the downside for a lot of positions. But we'll see what happens. We got ourselves like 4 minutes left until we lock in our 15 minute, and we haven't retested that level that we had yet. That kind of created more lower lows. It doesn't have the energy to get there. It doesn't have enough sellers to do so. Oh wait, this might be. Oh wow, they did make lower lows. There we go. Can we get that 181? Or is this a psychological 200 and that's all we're going to get? Stop at 201-ish. Alright, we did another extension down. Is that 194? Alright, they grabbed liquidity there. Looks like we're going to that 181 now. Tap that 181. You already here? Might as well. Ah, almost tapped it. Almost. Getting a little bit of a on some smaller time frame bullish divergences, so this thing could probably flip, but it does look good for more downside because that 181 still hasn't been tested, and I am very curious. We're way too close to it not to see what the reaction is at that point. So we'll see what happens there if it actually does it or not. Yeah, the bulls don't want that 181 to even be touched. You see how their orders are sitting right there? Yeah, 144. Can they liquidate them? There we go. That's that 181 right there. Solid move. Let's see if we can get into 168. Kind of accumulating here, like they want to kind of like push it down, but we might be done with our downside. This might be our level, might be. We'll see what happens. All right, there goes that 168. That get to the 168 and get there. Get there. One more push, we should get 168. Oof. Not if the buyers keep on buying up. And I just moved my line like 2 seconds ago. What time we got? We got 3 seconds. Okay, so that's probably why. So we're probably gonna get a nice little retracement into here. And we got ourselves a new 15-minute candle, and a lot of junk is gonna be happening here. Really interesting setup. So we just got hit with our market dominance on 45-minute as well. So right now we got our levels. It is not 168, but it's 172. All right, so that's our bottom side. So we'll be bearish under 172. All right, they're done liquidating the bears that stepped into there. So let's see if new bears step in. That's about a 236 to a 382 retracement for those that follow fibs. If we can get ourselves a nice little attack down further, then you get yourself those fair value gaps. But this fair value gap got destroyed, so that's out of there. And right now they're trying to establish where this fair value gap ends, and right now it ends like this. So that's said, for you individual that is probably taking this trade and you're trying to find a way, listen, it's very important that you understand there is a purpose and a scale. So I started a new thing. I called this my scale of profitability, right? So if you don't chart, if you're not doing your due diligence, you're not doing your homework, you're asking for trouble. It's very important. The ratio of charting to trading, both are the actions needed to become a profitable trader, has to follow a ratio based in time of 2 to 1. So what does that mean? So this is the JD law of profitability, right? For every minute of trading that you're doing, there should be 2 minutes minimum equivalent of charting. So if you're going to do a 5-minute chart, at the very least, put 10 minutes on the chart. Chart it all the way out. Understand where it's going. And that's at minimum. Doesn't mean that you have to stop there. Charting is equal to, but not limited to, trend lines, fib retracements, order blocks, channels, accountability, suggestions, community floors like this one here. Charting classes, which we kind of do at 8:15. And the 3 W's. If you've been on one of my charting classes, I talk about the 3 W's a lot. Why are you looking in the market? What is your entry? When are you going to exit? Those are the things that's important when it comes down to trading. If you cannot put those things together, guess what? You're asking for trouble. So just follow the trading scales of profitability and you will be a profitable trader. Anything else is uncivilized. All right, we're getting an open range breakout. Oh, wait a minute. This thing is breaking out. Let's go see this 5-minute. So again, when you're going into the 5-minute chart, you want to make sure that you wait for the 5-minute to close. Okay? The 5-minute to close. You see that? Look at that bounce. I know a lot of traders, they mark off the level. They're like, oh, it's breaking down. Then they're forcing themselves to get into here. Don't do that. Do not. Put rules around it. If your rule is, it made a new lower low, so I'm going to wait for them to make a lower high. Like, it just can't break this level, and that's going to be your rule. Actually, I put that in the wrong spot. Right, you're going to put a rule saying, hey, as long as it doesn't break this level, I'm going to get an entry anywhere inside of here because I anticipate the next candle is going to be red. Then that's different. But the rule that we say is candle close. That means it's locked in. That means those people are looking at the 5-minute chart are looking at the same thing that I'm looking at, and they agree, and they're thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, that this is the area, and there's not going to be any buyers that wants to see that close. They're going to look for something lower. So make sure you write your rules, why you're looking, what is my entry, when to get out, and you'll be perfectly fine. So 5 minute. Oh, am I already at the 5 minute? Oh, I spent so much time talking on my scales. I got enough time. So let's see if we close this 5 minute under here. Maybe we'll find a nice little spot for us to get in. Get a 5 minute close under that level. What? Why is it saying I am in when I'm not in? Hold on, bear with me. My chargers did something funny. Oh, okay, that's why. All right, so here we go. 13 seconds. Are you going to do it? You got to do it now if you're going to do it. And yeah, no, it's not going to do it. That's it. So listen, folks, be patient. Be patient. All right, this is going to give you an opportunity. Just make sure you mark off the level. We're at 172. We did not get a 5 minute close below. Leave the chart alone. Walk away for a little bit. Go get some lunch. It looked like it retested the fair value gap. Again, you got to wait another 5 minutes for it to close. All right, so that's it. That said, thank you very much for taking the time. We're going to be on again tomorrow at 8:15. If you're in the trading community, if you don't have the links or you don't have one of the trading communities that I'm involved with, then go ahead, shoot me a DM on Instagram. That way you can get the link for the charting classes between 8:15 and 8:45. After that, I do the floor here on YouTube. That's at 8:45 up until 9:45, hard stop. And my goal is for everybody to be a profitable trader. For that to happen, go click the link down below. For January, I am due free one-on-ones inside of my link tree. Go ahead and register for your free one-on-one. All right, so go ahead, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy trading and good luck.